So Charlie, thank you for believing in Wi-Fi. And to everyone here at Turning Point and back at home, thank you for believing in America, in freedom, and for giving the microphone back to those truth tellers. At Wi-Fi, we prove every day that you can do well by doing good, and together we can transform lives, rebuild trust, and help you find your turning point. I'll end this by saying, God bless America. God bless Turning Point. God bless Wi-Fi, and God bless each one of you. You ready to get this party started? Enjoy this event. You got some amazing speakers. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage University of North Dakota TPUSA Chapter President, Anthony Vettel.
Good evening, everyone. This is absolutely beautiful to see so many people out here in North Dakota. So thank you again for coming out here this evening. Our chapter here at the University of North Dakota has been absolutely blown away by the response from the community for this event. So many people have been so kind and amazing to us. We'd like to take a moment to thank security and law enforcement, not only for their amazing help today, working to keep us safe, but also for their diligence and hard work every day, putting their lives on the line for all of us. I could not continue without thanking a few more instrumental people to our chapter here. So thank you to Turning Point staff, specifically Dalton Nelson and Olivia Notch, for helping organize all of this for us and being there for us week in and week out. You all have been so supportive and helped us grow to where we are today, and willing to work with us and support us in our ambitious goals like filling the Chester Fritz. And most of all, thank you for Turning Point USA for supporting us in our chapter, giving us resources and training to pull off an event of this size. So if you're interested in starting a chapter, please check out Turning Point USA tables here at this event. Or you can go to turningpointusa.com/get-involved. We'd love to help you get plugged in. Finally, we encourage you to attend our biggest event of the year, America Fest this December in Phoenix, Arizona. This event you do not want to miss. With that being said, please join me in honoring Charlie Kirk by holding up the rally sign that is on your seat for a photo. If you do not have a sign, yell and give us some energy for Charlie Kirk. God bless and thank you.
First up, comedian, Turning Point contributor, and host of Turning Point Tonight, Joe Bob.
They're allowed to come into the event, and if they disagree, we will give them a microphone.
These are the same people that tell you if you pay more tax money, they can change the weather.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Joe Bob.
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 What is going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
I used to do this every tour stop, do it twice. How are we doing tonight? If you don't know who I am, my name is Joe Bob. I'm a comedian, a TPUSA contributor. I also host Turning Point's Turning Point Tonight show. But most importantly, especially in this context, for the last 3 years, I had the honor and privilege of opening and being the opening act and touring the country with my friend Charlie Kirk. This is my first tour back. And I'll be completely frank with you guys. I talked to just about everybody here who has worked on this tour for as long as I have, if not longer than that. And there's no real good term here that I was able to tell them what it's like. The fact that I'm not making stupid jokes and Charlie's not coming on after me. And the only thing I can come up with is it just sucks. It just sucks. But you know what each and every one of the Turning Point staff told me? Yeah, it does, but look around. Look at each and every one of you here that Charlie impacted, yes? In trying to figure out what to say here, I think I wanted to tell a couple stories about my friend Charlie. And I hope that this kind of illuminates the kind of guy that he was, what he was attempting to do and did do in the conservative movement. And I think it best starts out with how I got wrapped up into this Turning Point bubble. A couple years ago, started filming ridiculous videos in my garage. I was a conservative guy, and I was making a bunch of videos about I hate paying taxes, I hate the government, and I hate paying taxes. Yeah. It was pretty much those three things. And I posted them online, never really thinking anything of it. And a couple months later, I got an email from Turning Point saying, hey, we'd love to have you on the Turning Point Live TV show. It's called TPUSA Live, and they said, we'd love to have you out to Phoenix. So this, at this point in time, I was not in the conservative movement, really. I thought this was a great opportunity. So I decided to go to Phoenix. I did a couple episodes of the show. And for whatever reason, Turning Point and Charlie decided, hey, would you like to become a contributor here at Turning Point USA? And again, coming from not this industry at all, this is not what I did, I thought, yeah, this would be a great opportunity. And so I did it. I became a contributor at Turning Point USA. Fast forward a couple months. We were in Dallas, Texas at the Young Women's Leadership Summit. Anybody here was at YWLS? It's a travel, it's a distance. What I have done in the past, though, is a bunch of people cheer, and then I wonder why the men are cheering. And then it's also weird because I'm about to tell you why I was there. It's not what you think. So we're at our Young Women's Leadership Summit, and the keynote address for that event was going to be a conversation between Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh. We're all fans of Matt Walsh. Yes. So at this point in time, this is at like the height of Matt's What is a Woman documentary. He's touring the country, asking the most difficult questions. What is a woman? And so I think he had an event earlier in the day. The keynote address was supposed to start about 7 p.m. And around 6:40, one of the producers at Turning Point comes over and finds me and says, hey, Charlie wants to talk to you backstage. So I go backstage. And at this point in time, you know, I've been working at Turning Point for a little bit. I've had my run-ins with Charlie, but I don't really know him all that well. You know, he's a busy guy. I have no idea what I'm doing. So we're not really like friends necessarily. I go backstage, and Charlie says, you're a comedian, right? And I said, yes. Now, some context here. I had done stand-up comedy for 5-6 years, but I was really just doing open mics. To call myself an established comedian at this point in time would be a fantastic exaggeration. But I confidently said, yes, I am a comedian. And he said, great. Matt's running about an hour late. Can you go on stage and stall for time? I said, yes. Now, I thought I had some pretty good composure there. But look, I was a comedian at that point in time in the same way that, like, Joe Biden was a president, right? It's like, in theory, I was a comedian. But the most people I think I'd performed in front of at that point was maybe 40 people, and that might be overstating it. And now I'm sitting in front of Charlie Kirk himself saying, hey, there's 2,500 people out there. I know you're not Matt Walsh, who they're expecting. Please go entertain them. Now, again, like I said, I tried to keep my composure, but Charlie must have seen something. Because after that, he just looked at me and said, I believe in you. He had no reason to believe in me. Because he didn't really know who I was. I think he had heard that I was a comedian. At the end of the day, that really stuck with me. It ended up going well. And a couple weeks later, Charlie asked, hey, the comedy was okay. It was pretty good. Do you want to come on tour and do this stuff at college campuses and open for me? And I said, yes. And every single time there was an opportunity that Charlie presented with me, my mind always went back to that one moment where he very simply said, I believe in you. And like I said, there was no reason for him to do that. In reality, what I think was happening is indicative of who he was as a person. He didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know what I was going to say. He didn't know about my comedic history or lack thereof. He simply believed in me because I was a part of the conservative movement. And so because of that, I can confidently say to all of you here that whatever your role in the conservative movement is, Charlie also believed in you. Doesn't matter if you're running a super small chapter on a campus, Charlie Kirk believed in you. It doesn't matter if you're fighting with your administration because they can't get college or chapters on their specific campus. Charlie Kirk believed in you. No matter how big or small your job was in the conservative movement, Charlie Kirk believed in you. Yes? Because that was who he was. Now, I have another story, and this one's a little bit more whimsical. It also might get me in trouble a little bit, but we're going to risk it. So I at Turning Point, I'm the comedian, the in-house smartass, and that comes with some substantial liability from the higher-ups. Meaning that, if you're going to do comedy correctly, you're going to have to push some boundaries a little bit. And that just kind of comes innately to me. I think of everything in terms of jokes. Like, for my own amusement, sometimes I'll go on Instagram and type in the hashtag LGBTQ. And I'll scroll down and I'll find a photo and I'll comment, that's gay. Just because I think it's funny. See, and then people will comment back, that is so offensive. And I say, I'm stating a fact. And then they'll get really, really upset. They'll be like, there's nothing gay about this photo. And I'll comment back, sure there is. It's a picture of NDSU. Look, hey, I get it. Usually the rival schools are further driving distance, but I recognize that some of you might have made the trek up from Fargo. So just know that everybody here, because you're a part of the conservative movement, it doesn't matter that you're a part of the LGBT NDSU. We love you just the same. So that's the kind of menace I am. And so there's a lot of times where I like to make jokes. And again, to the higher ups at Turning Point, I'm kind of a liability. But this one story that I want to tell you happened a couple weeks ago, very, very recently. And what happened was I recorded a video. Somebody put out a ridiculous, absurd video. And I was like, that's insane. I need to record a joke to that. So I did, and I was planning on posting it later that afternoon. But before that, I sent it to a producer at Turning Point who I knew would love the joke, but I also knew that he didn't have social media, so he wouldn't see the joke. A couple minutes later, he texted me back, bro, that's hilarious. Also, hold off on that. I gotta make sure that's okay. Turns out he sent it to his boss sent it to their boss sent it to their boss, and ultimately it got to Charlie. This ridiculous joke that I didn't think anything of made it all the way to the top. I'll tell you what the joke is. Okay, so we all remember the American Eagle debacle with Sydney Sweeney, yes? Yeah, the libs put us in a very challenging position of having to defend that Sydney Sweeney is hot. It took some skill, grit, and heterosexual males with two eyes to prove that point. But of course, that was a crazy scenario, right? So the Sydney Sweeney thing happens, and you see all these types of videos. They're fascists. They're Nazis. Because she's hot, they're white supremacists. We all remember this. But there was one video in particular that I thought was so egregious and absurd, I couldn't help but mock it. It was this video of this girl who happened to be black. And the person filming the video, she was outside of an American Eagle, said, hey, do you want to go in that store? And she turned around and said, I can't go in American Eagle because I'm black. It's an absurd thing to say, so I responded with equal absurdity. I actually think she's right. I don't think American Eagle accepts EBT. Oh! Now. Clearly, this is a joke. We all understand this. And by the way, what she said was worse. So that was the joke that made it all the way to Charlie. And he texted back, do it. See, and it gets even a little bit further than that because, I totally get it. There's people that are trying to protect the brand. And so some of the higher ups said, hey, we're going to post that. We're going to allow you to post that, but can we add a disclaimer to it? I was like, a disclaimer? And they're like, yeah, we want to make sure that everybody knows it's a joke. I'm like, it's clearly a joke. They're like, yeah, but we got to have a disclaimer. And I texted back, that's gay. But seriously, I didn't want a disclaimer because this is clearly a joke. And again, what she said was way worse than what I said. So I had a better idea. I put my own disclaimer. I sent it in for approval that said, disclaimer, Charlie Kirk himself wrote this joke, but he made me say it because I'm a brown. And Charlie texted back, perfect. Now, this highlights, I think, two things that are very important. One is that we are all aware of the ridiculous slander that has come to Charlie Kirk, especially in the last couple weeks. It's insane, it's untrue, it is absurd. But I think this highlights how absurd it actually is. In the world of comedy, I've noticed that comedians only stray from jokes if they're afraid that it might expose a truth within them. Let me rephrase that. A person who is unafraid of being slandered is only unafraid because they know what they believe. Yes? Only a person who is afraid of slander, or the person that is afraid of slander is afraid of it because they're worried that, well, maybe some of these accusations might be true. Charlie was not that way at all. Only a person who is confident in what they believe. And by the way, Charlie didn't believe in race at all, but was forced to talk about it because the libs can't let it go. But only somebody who is confident in what they believe lets a guy like me pull the trigger on that one. The second thing is that it re-emphasized Charlie's understanding of the conservative movement. Right? We've all seen Charlie's debates. We saw him go toe-to-toe with really the best of the best and also college kids. And there's clearly something that brings people to the conservative side of the aisle through logic and reason and debate. But Charlie understood that those weren't the only things that brought people to the conservative side of the aisle. It took other things, like comedy, like music, like entertainment, like arts. All different sorts of factions would come together to build the conservative coalition, and that's what Charlie understood better than anyone else. He brought me on tour specifically because, quite honestly, he made some funny jokes, but people weren't really expecting jokes to come out of a guy like Charlie, so that right over their head. Specifically, I remember we were at Berkeley, and he made a joke, yeah, try being a trans person in the Middle East. They'll give you a flying lesson off the nearest roof. Nobody laughed because they weren't expecting him to be funny. But here's the thing, Charlie recognized however important he was to the movement, he knew that other facets were necessary in order to build a conservative coalition. And so with that, I want to leave you with this. In the 3 years where I was touring the country with Charlie, there would be so many instances where people would come up, and students specifically would come up and say, how do I get involved in Turning Point? How do I get to do what it is that you do? I say, first of all, God-given talent. I'm kidding. No. They'd say, how do I get involved? And I say, well, okay, well, what is it that you want to do specifically? And they would say, I want to be the next Charlie Kirk. And I understand the sentiment, but I think Charlie himself would phrase it just a little bit differently. It's great to be admired. It's an honor to want to live up to somebody like Charlie. But I think he himself would say, rather than being a version of someone else, instead, become the best version of you that you can be. Yes? It doesn't matter if you're an artist, be the best version of you that you can be. If you're a musician, be the best version of you that you can be. If you're a biologist, you're not going to be on the Supreme Court, but be the best version of yourself that you can be. Can we all agree here tonight in North Dakota that we will be the best version of ourselves in honor of Charlie Kirk? So guys, thank you so much. It honestly has been cathartic being here with you. I'm so excited to see the movement that Charlie started and put his blood, sweat, and tears into grow to the expanse that it has. Just don't let that fervor die. And if I can ask you these last three things, it would be this. Never stop fighting for truth, yes? Never stop fighting for freedom, yes? And never stop fighting for this country. Yeah. North Dakota, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Thank you.
My name is Charlie Kirk, and I love America because I love talking with people I disagree with. Started an organization that's now on 1,000+ campuses to save the greatest culture and country ever to exist.
Our family's divided. We're divided the same way the nation is divided. Will anything ever be remedied? A nation divided against itself will not stand, neither will a family divided against itself.
Why do you think your son is conservative? You as a father should listen to your son.
I used to be, at one point, on my father's side. Upon doing my own research and seeing things firsthand, I've switched sides. We talk every day about politics to the point where it's divided us.
Father-son divide is more important than politics. Really try to come down at what generational perspective do they have. Never let politics get in the way of the beautiful relationship between father and son.
And my question for you is, do you have any hate against the LGBT community?
How could I hate that which I have a heart for? I might not agree at that for some of the lifestyle choices that some people make, but of course not. And if someone said, Charlie, what's your view on marriage? I say, I believe marriage is between one man and one woman. Do I have hate in my heart for somebody that doesn't choose the lifestyle that I believe that God laid out in the scriptures? Of course not.
Yeah. What's this big for?
I go around universities and have challenging conversations because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens. You could see that happen all across the world.
What motivates you to come out here?
Well, because I love talking to people I disagree with. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
First, I just want to say I don't agree with you on a lot of stuff, but I really respect, and I think you don't agree with me on a lot of stuff, but I really respect that you'll have a dialogue. I think one of the big problems in this country right now is, like, people can't have a dialogue, and people, like, don't even know how to, like, have a dialogue and use logic and, like, have an actual argument like you do. So how do we improve that as a country? How do you think we get more people that can argue like on both sides of the aisle?
I think this event is a great example of it, right? I think that this event is, we need to have differing opinions. We need to have people that don't share the same worldview and see which one is better and try to find common bond. You should have your own discussions like this every day. You should try to model it and try to have, back and forth, and that's what makes the country strong and great. Civil dialogue.
I am honored today to be joined by someone that has had a very big influence on my life. I was listening to his radio show and watching his television program after school, when I was in a freshman year in high school and sophomore year in high school, none other than the incredible leader, Glenn Beck. Glenn, welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Thank you.
Well, I want to, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming. Charlie called me, I don't remember when, and said, Glenn, I want you to join me in the universities. And I'm like, are you insane? No, I don't do that, Charlie. You do that, I don't do that. And he said, no, you don't have to. We're going to put 2 chairs, and I'm going to sit in one, and I'll take all the questions. You just teach history. Thanks, Charlie. I hope I have something of value to share with you today. I have a few things. There's probably about $5 million worth of artifacts on the table behind me. I want to teach you some history that you're not being taught in school. And you can argue with me all you want, but there are the documents. So how are you going to argue? Make sure you bring some of these things up in classes. I also wanted to start with some things that I have personally learned that I think might be helpful as you start your journey. I'm a recovering alcoholic. My mother died when I was 13 years old. She committed suicide. We've had 3 suicides in my family. I contemplated suicide when I was younger, it was kind of a family thing that just made sense. Suicide and suicidal thoughts, if anybody has had them, you are under the grip of a really powerful lie, and your life is worth living. And once you conquer that demon, life just gets better and better and better. But when I was really young, I knew what I was going to do, and I believe I heard a prompting from the Lord when I was 8. And the Lord said to me, what you do in life will be a turning point. And I didn't know what that meant. I was 8 years old. But I knew I was going to be in radio. So I started doing radio. I got into radio when I was about 13. And I have been doing it now for, this is my 49th year of doing broadcast. And because I didn't understand the Lord early on, like I do now, I thought I was supposed to do something great in the industry. And I was very successful very young, and I made a lot of money when I was very young. And that is a very bad combination: fame, fortune, and 20 years old. And every time I would make the next milestone, it wasn't it. And I was more and more empty every step of the way until I reached my 30s and I was an alcoholic. No one would work with me because I was an angry alcoholic, and I had a lot of things that I had not dealt with. So I want to tell you some of the things that I have learned in my journey, because once I fixed those things, once I dealt with those things, once I found out who I really was, not what I thought I was supposed to be, nothing else, just who I really truly was, everything changed overnight. So let me start. I wrote down 9 things that I think are true and will shape you into the person you were born to be. Number 1, question everything. Everything. Anyone who tells you, don't ask that question, run from them. Question everything. Thomas Jefferson said in a letter to his nephew, Peter Carr. Peter Carr was young, his mother had died, then his father is on his deathbed, and he asked Thomas Jefferson, Thomas, you're the smartest man I know. Could you please help my son in his educational upbringing? So when Peter became of age, he wrote him this long letter, and he said, in mathematics, you have to do this. In literature, you have to read this. You have to speak these languages. I love this one. Never read a book outside of its native language. You will miss too much. The last one was religion. And he said, when it comes to religion, above all things, fix reason firmly in her seat and question with boldness even the very existence of God. For if there be a God, he must surely rather honest questioning over blindfolded fear. Amen. That changed my life. That gave me permission to question everything. I no longer had to feel stupid. I never had to feel guilty for questioning God. I remember I read that and I thought, you know what, God, I don't really know you. I know you because of what I have been taught. I know you because of what everybody has told me. I know you through church. I know you through the Bible, but I don't really know you. I don't know if any of this is true. So I'm going to question with boldness, and I'm going to start here. I don't believe in you. I don't reject you. But if you are my Father in heaven, you have built this entire system so I will find you. I imagined if it were me and I'm a dad, and my children had to find me on their own to have real meaning and purpose. If I built a room and it was a round room and it didn't look like there were any doors or windows, it was just this round room, that's all they ever knew, everything I put in that room would point to me. I would send them every possible sign. I exist. I'm on the other side of this wall. So if my Heavenly Father exists, there's signs everywhere. Where are they? What are they? I had the library of a serial killer. I probably, in a 10-year period, I think I read about 7,000 books. And I read everything. Charlie probably read more than I did. I read everything. And I went into bookstores and I would look at who would disagree with each other. I put a council together. Who was on the exact opposite side? Carl Sagan, Pope John Paul, Alan Dershowitz, Adolf Hitler. Who is on the opposite side? And then I would read the extremes and then I would narrow it in. My father told me, you have to look at all of your knowledge. You look at it as if everything's a transparency. And you look down through everything. Where they intersect, that's truth. Where everyone is saying the same thing, that's truth. Because they don't agree with each other, but on that one thing, they do. And then just assemble it. I will tell you, the intellectual side of me, I believed in God, but that's not what changed me. It was when, I went to Yale for about 15 minutes. And I took early Christology. And let me tell you, if you ever want to find Christ, don't go to Yale. But I went and I understood what early Christology is the making of the image of Jesus Christ from about 400 BC to about 400 AD. And so I knew what everything was. I studied all that time period, how this was all put together. And by the time I got out of school, I was like, I don't believe any of that. Then I found a woman who wanted to marry me. And she was a fabulous woman. She loved me. I honestly felt like at that time I was still struggling, holding my alcoholism at bay. And I felt like I was a black hole, and she had so much light, and I felt like I was stealing light from her. I could feel that light from her bend into me. And I told her that. We were standing in the kitchen, and I had my arms around her, and she was facing out. We were looking out a window. And I said, I have to tell you something. I have to be honest. I'm stealing light from you. Without hesitation, she said, you can't steal that which is being given. I immediately thought, I have got to marry this woman. So I proposed, and she said no. And I'm like, but you could have all this whenever you wanted it. So she said no, and I said why? And she said, because we don't have faith in common. I said, I know God. I studied God. I went to Yale. I studied God. She said, She said, we have to have a faith that we both can agree on, that we both can come back, because if we don't have God as our center, nothing will hold. So we went on what we called the church tour. Every week we would go to a different church, and we went to crazy. I went to synagogue one Saturday. I thought that was great because you were in on Saturday, you have Sundays free. I don't speak Hebrew, so I didn't get a lot from the service, but we went to one church. It was a congregational church. Halfway through the sermon, and I swear to you this is true, halfway through the sermon, the preacher said, now you all know that I don't believe in God, but I looked at my wife and she said, what did he just say? And I said, I think he just said I don't believe in God, but if there be a God, we should serve him. Oh, well, I think you should put that out on the sign in the front of the church. Our preacher doesn't believe in God. We went to every place, and we finally ended up at a church that I swore I would never become a member of, because it's a drag. We can't drink coffee. We're not supposed to swear. Don't watch rated R movies. You're supposed to be nice all the time. So there's no way I'm joining this church until I met a man who, to my shame, I called the amazing Mr. Plastic Man, because he was happy all the time. Oh, I just love Jesus, and he makes me and my plastic family happy. And I'm like, give it a rest, dude. First time I met him, walked into the church and he said, brother, I just love you. I'm so glad. And I wanted to vomit on him. And I'm like, give it 15 minutes, that'll wear off. 6 months go by, and I take the one thing from Scripture. Prove me now. Prove me. Test me. Prove it. I invite you. I'm sitting in this lesson, and here comes the amazing Mr. Plastic Man. And he's going to teach a class on this concept of Zion. What is Zion? Zion is this amazing, it's utopia. It's when we all, through our love of Christ, we just all come together and we share, and we're communist, I think. But it's all through the love of Christ, and it's all through choice. And he said, brothers, how do we get there? I didn't have any idea. Others had some ideas. Nothing really made sense. And then a tear went down his cheek, and he said, there's only one way. There's only one way. If I love you and you love me, I love you and you love me, I love you and you love me, we may not know each other. We may not agree with each other. We may not like each other. But we know who we are, and you are my brother, you are my sister, and I love you. And I will never abandon you, because we have that bond. At that moment, I didn't care if I had to drink chicken blood in the basement. That's who I wanted to be. God wants you to find him. He wants you to find him. He is your Father. So question everything. And try not to, stop trying to win. Stop trying to win. Okay, that's not why we're talking to each other. Why do we always try to win with one another? I gotta beat you. I've got a better answer than you do. You're wrong, I know it. Try to understand people. Don't try to argue with them. Just say, wow, I don't know how you got there. Can you take me through your thinking? When did you start believing this? What made you think that? Because quite honestly, the minute you stop thinking somebody has something to teach you, you're an arrogant monster. I can't learn anything from you. All of you people believe this, so I don't even want to talk to you. I don't need to talk to you. Are you kidding me? Those are the people I want to talk to, because those are the people I can learn something from. Even if it's just empathy, something we sorely lack in today's world. The second, the truth will set you free. I love Ephesians, where you're supposed to put on the full armor of God, the helmet of salvation. When I got into the waters of baptism, I needed that salvation. I needed, for all the things that I had done in my life, all of the wrongs that I had done, I needed somebody else to carry them because they were crushing me. And so I proved him. You promise me, if I live my life the way you tell me to live my life, if I'm always doing what you ask me to do, you will take this from me. And he did. And my life changed overnight. I don't know what the truth is about you that you have running in your head, but it's probably not very good. We all have these things. Oh, if people only knew, if people only knew what I thought or what I did, or I'm not good enough, I'm a fraud, whatever it is. That's a lie. Maybe somebody in your life has been telling you that crap. Turn that off. Turn that off. You are a divine daughter and son of God with all of the rights and privileges that go with that. You are equipped with everything you need. Don't let anyone tell you somebody stands in your way. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. The system is rigged against you. I am a son of God. I have everything I need. Third is choose your thoughts. Man, choose your thoughts. My father said one time, I was probably 17 years old, and we got into some fight. I don't even remember what it was about. And I just wanted to hurt him, I just wanted to win. And I was like, yeah, well, I'll never be like you. And you know what he said to me? Good. I am so glad to hear you say that. I was like, but you, he said to me, but you better find a model. You better find a father you want to be like. You better be very careful, because I've put all of these images of what a dad is in your head. And if you don't choose to be different and know what you're choosing, I promise you, son, you will be exactly like me. Choose your thoughts. What is the name of God in the Bible? When he goes to Moses, who shall I say sent me? I am that I am. The most powerful words in any language is I am. Be careful what you follow that with. I am what? A loser? I'm weak. I'm pathetic. I'm a fraud. No, you are not. But you will be that because you're invoking the power of God. I am blank. Choose your thoughts. Choose what you follow I am with carefully. Be mindful of what you think. You have about 85,000 thoughts today. What? They're in there all the time going. You're thinking all kinds of stuff. Why would you say, I'm fat, I'm ugly? Why wouldn't you say, I'm getting healthier every day? I'm unique and beautiful in my own way. Why would you let the world tell you who you are? You are the only one that decides that. Life doesn't happen to you. Are you to be acted upon, or are you somebody that acts? I'm not going to be acted upon. I'm not a slave. I'm not a thing. I'm a thinking human being. I act. I create. I am. 4, you will serve something in your life. Guarantee it. You will serve something. And that service might be money, might be fame, might be addiction, might be sex, whatever it is, might be God. But if you don't choose what you serve, if you don't say, this is the most important thing to me, this is my line, I serve this, again, it will be filled in by life. And you will end up serving false gods. Choose your master, because if you don't, a master will choose you. 5, forgiveness is essential. Without forgiveness, everything else falls apart. But it's not only essential, it's crippling hard. I can't tell you. There's lots of people I'm like, I gotta forgive you. It's crippling hard. But it's harder to forgive yourself most times. You gotta let that go. Give that to him. Let it go. The past is the past. Helmet of salvation. He is saving you. He's redeeming you. Why is it a helmet? Because it's what's going on in your head all the time. It's not real. It's yesterday, but it's eating you alive in your head. Put on the helmet of salvation. Do not let those thoughts come into your mind. When that happens, your life changes. Forgiveness is hard. Forgiving Charlie Kirk's killer, when I saw Erica do that, that's hard. But most likely forgiving yourself is harder, because you will see the humanity in someone else, hopefully. You will see the pain or the struggle or whatever it is in somebody else, but you won't give yourself that credit. Give that to yourself. 6, discipline is freedom. I said to you, I have a lot of pastor friends and I can speak at churches and they'll always let me speak. And they don't do that a lot of times with people from different religions, but I had a really honest pastor friend of mine. I said, I can't believe you let me speak here. And he's like, Glenn, nobody wants to go to your church. You're welcome. Nobody's leaving after you talk to join yours. I said, thank you. Discipline is freedom. My church is really hard. We got a lot of rules, okay? But I needed that framework. I didn't have that discipline. I didn't have the discipline I needed. I needed framework that said, serve your fellow man. And here's how you're going to do it. Tithe. And here's what you need to do. I needed that discipline. Because what I found is it's actually very freeing. You stop lying and you're the freest person in the world. When I was at Fox, they were investigating me. Fox was. I had everybody investigate me. Everybody. At one point, we had people going through our garbage at my house, looking at everything. And I was totally cool with it because I wouldn't have been 10 years ago, but I found Christ, I let it all go, and I announced it on the air. You don't even know what I've done. Here's what I've done, and I vomited out on the air. I got that poison out. So I had already told my audience who I was, so what are you going to find on me? Because I know I'm not doing anything bad now. Are you going to dig up some skeleton in my closet? Ooh, I've already told my audience about it. That scared the daylights out of them. But when you know who you are, and you can look somebody in the eye and say, investigate all you want. They're terrified of you. Because they know they have no power over you. You never lie. You never cheat. You never steal. You know who you are. No one can trap you. And they freak out. I was sitting in a meeting with the head, at that time, Roger Ailes, head of Fox News, and I knew they had been investigating me. And I'm called into his office, and he's sitting there behind his desk like an evil warlord. And I said, Roger, how are you? And he said, have a seat. I sat down, and he said, you know, a lot of people want to know the skeletons in your closet. I said, I know. He said, a lot of people are investigating you. I said, I know. He reached down and he picked up a stack of files, okay, about this big. He put it right on his desk, right in front of him and between me. And then he pet it like a James Bond villain. You know, a lot of people want to know about you. I'm thinking, there's nothing in those files. And I said, I know that. Then he looked at me and he said, you know, it's always a shame. You have a wonderful wife. The hair stood up on his neck. I leaned into his desk and I said, yes, I do. And he said, it's always a shame when a man does something and hurts a woman like that. I looked him in the eye, I leaned into the desk and I said, I know. And that's why that has never happened. And I stared him in the eye, and we were like in the 3rd grade for a minute. Here's the pinnacle of television news. I'm sitting next to the guy who created network television news. I'm looking him in the eye, and it's like we're in the 3rd grade. We're having a stare-down contest. And I know the rule, the first person to look away loses. So I'm not looking away, I'm not blinking. I'm like, I won. He looked away. But that could not have happened. That could not have happened if I hadn't have done these things. If I hadn't had the discipline to know exactly who I am. Find your own framework. Keep pictures of heroes, real heroes. Charlie Kirk should be on your desk or in your backpack, wherever you are, in your car, wherever you are making decisions. Find 5 people that inspire you, that you want to be more like, and keep them in front of you. People from the past or the present, people that you know made the right decision in the hard times. Because there's going to come a time when you get up on the phone and somebody's going to say, hey, you want to do this? Hey, why don't you compromise here? Why don't you do this? And you need to have the strength and the courage to look right at your counsel and know exactly, nope, not doing that. Find strength in heroes from the past. Discipline is freedom. Work. Let me tell you a story about Charlie Kirk. I meet 1 million people all the time who say, I want to have your job. Usually what they're saying is, I want the fame or I want the fortune. And I'm like, you can have that. It's battery acid to the soul. Really, you want my job? Yeah. Well, I'll help you any way I can. If you want an intern or you want a mentorship, I'm willing to do that. No. Nobody finishes. Nobody's willing to actually put in the work. You're not paid what you're paid because you kind of phone it in. You only succeed when you are doing everything all the time, and you are focused and you're disciplined and you work hard and you finish what you start. When that happens, the whole world changes. Charlie Kirk at 17 came to me and said, I want to be like you. I want your job. What he was really saying is, I want to be like Rush Limbaugh. He didn't want to be me. He wanted to be Rush Limbaugh. And I said, well, maybe. Let's see what you do. And I watched him. This is the first time I have said this. My life is changing next year. I'm changing a lot of things in my life. I was grooming Charlie to replace me. Charlie was replacing me next year. He didn't know that, because I wanted to save it to him as a surprise. I've watched you. You've surpassed me. You have worked so hard. You've done everything you're supposed to do. I haven't seen anyone like you. I will turn my radio, my internet, whatever you need over to you because you deserve it. I'm telling you, work hard. People who are successful will see it, and you'll rocket to the top. Faith is for realists. Number 7, faith is for realists. You have faith because you're a realist. You have faith. You get up every day. You know that flaming orb in the sky is going to be there tomorrow morning because it comes up every day. You know it. You have faith that it's going to come up. What do you really, truly have faith in that maybe you don't fully understand? It's not blindness. I talked to Erica. I believe Charlie knew. I believe Charlie knew. They were with their pastor the night before. But Charlie wasn't afraid because Charlie had faith. Charlie had the faith that if I'm doing what I'm asked by the Lord to do, it will all be fine. And it doesn't mean that it works out for you in the end, but it works out for God. Because Charlie was so faithful, because he worked so hard, because he built what he built in the name of God, somebody comes in and takes him out. And look what God has done with that. I think of you often. I pray for you every day. And I pray that you will see what Charlie, how he lived his life, and see the impact that he made. He would not have made this impact if he sloughed off, if he slept in, if he didn't do the work. The guy was in his early 30s. He's Thomas Jefferson. He's Martin Luther King. He's in his 30s. I'm 62. I haven't accomplished what he has. The Lord has plans for you, but you must do your part. And you always know when it's God telling you to do something. At least I found, because it's always something you go, oh crap, no, I don't want to do that. Please, that's going to make me a pariah. That's too hard. I can't do that. Do it. Do it every time. Gratitude changes everything. It doesn't erase the hardship. It doesn't. But failure is fertilizer. It's fertilizer for something great that is about to grow. If you have faith that I know if I do what I'm supposed to do, it's all going to work out, it will. It will. It may not take you where you want to be or where you think you're going, but as long as you're checking with him all the time, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Is this right? Is this where you want me? Is this where you want me? He may tell you to do some things and it doesn't work out and you're like, wait, you just told me to do that. No, but you put in your head what that was supposed to look like in the end. I'm putting you in a position of where I need you to be. And I guarantee you, in your life, you will look back on some of the hardest things you've ever done, and you'll look back and go, that was actually a really good time. Because it's those days that you grow. It's those days where you really learn, where you're struggling so hard just to keep your head above water. That's your forge. That's when you strengthen your steel. That's when you know who you are. Because you've been tested. Go to sleep. When you go to sleep, do two things and it'll change your life. When you go to sleep tonight, and when you wake up in the morning, just quickly name two things you know are true about God. Two things you know absolutely are true about God. God loves me, and there's forgiveness. I could start all over tomorrow, and I know it's true because he's promised that's true. Then, two things you're grateful for. Gratitude changes everything. If we had more gratitude in life, we wouldn't be shivving each other because you got more of that than I do. Who cares? In the end, it ain't about the stuff. It's really not. And I know it seems easy for me to say that because it is easy for me to say that because I'm at the place in my life where you will be someday. And you will realize, oh man, all that stuff I used to worry about, all that stuff that I thought was important, none of that is important. It's just who you are. Your relationship to God. That changes everything. Gratitude. Instead of saying, I'm so mad that so-and-so. Gratitude. My father taught me this once. I was 28. And my father was so patient with me. And I called him up. My father was a baker. And I call him up at work, and I'm like whining. Dad, this is not working out the way it's supposed to. And I've just really been screwed my whole life. And my father was so patient. And he was like, you know what? You make a good point. You really have, thinking back now, you really have had a tough life, Glenn. You really have. I'm like, right, see, you get it. Like it started with mom's suicide, right? And then there was this, and then there was that. And he's like, wow, Glenn, you know what? You're right. Listen, I have some bread in the oven right now. I got to pull it out. But this is an important conversation. Would you do me a favor? I want you to call me tonight. But when you hang up the phone, I want you to make a list of at least 10 things where you've gotten the shaft. Where life has been really unfair. Just make a list of 10 things and then call me tonight. So I did. I'm like, see, my dad is so smart. He knows me. And I start writing. First thing, my mother's suicide. I don't remember what the number 2 and number 3, but by the time I got to number 3, that one was related to my mother's suicide, but that number 3 had something positive that came out of it. And then I started going up and I looked at number 1 and I'm like, but if my mom hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have moved here, which means I wouldn't have met that person, which means I wouldn't have done this. I realized everything works out. If you just let it go, everything works out. I call my dad back. Phone rings, he picks it up. You don't have any bread in the oven, do you? He laughed and he said, wow, you're smarter than I thought you were. There is no such thing as bad things. It's what you do with it. It's what you're going to do with Charlie Kirk's death. You had a choice. Choose death, choose anger, choose vengeance, or choose life. Choose charity. Choose peace. Choose forgiveness. And look how you've already changed the world. There is no such thing as bad if you make the choice to see the good that can come from it. And last one, community is oxygen. A community is oxygen. You cannot be online all the time by yourself. You must have people around you. And it's not just for you. One of your jobs has to be give permission to your friends, people that you meet, give them permission to have hope. It's easy for you to see the good in other people that they refuse to see in themselves. There's nothing better. Franklin was asked, what is the American religion? He said, the American religion is, there is a God, he will judge us. The best way to serve God is to serve our fellow man. That's the American religion. So serve, because that's the only thing that matters. When you get out of yourself and you start seeing the needs in others and you want to serve them, your whole world changes. And because your world changes, and my world changes. That's how we change the world, one person at a time. Thank you. So I want to share some history with you, and then we'll take some questions. Whatever you guys want to do. Please just don't piss me off. I'm in a really good mood. Please. I saw a protester outside. There was only one. I wanted to buy him a burger and fries. It's like, look at that guy. He has the courage to be out there by himself. Good for him. I said to somebody, we should get him a milkshake, and they said, that's bad connotation. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember when they were throwing milkshakes at us. Before I start on this, I want to tell you something I'm doing, because my job is changing in January. And I'm going to be doing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, but I've also been studying AI since the 90s. And I have been working on a project with AI. The AI has a problem, it hallucinates. You cannot trust AI, and don't ever, ever, ever start to believe it's your friend, it's a person, it's a lover. It's not. It's ones and zeros. But I think as long as we understand it is a tool, we should use it. So I have spent the last 25 years taking pretty much my family is like, you're not leaving us anything, are you, Dad? And I'm like, I'm spending it all. I have been preserving American history. We have more founding documents. We are only behind the National Archives and the Library of Congress. I have the largest collection of Pilgrim artifacts. You name it, we are collecting it and preserving it. We have digitized all of it. It will be available in something called George AI, coming soon. And what George AI is, there's two parts of it. One will take you through all of the artifacts, so you know exactly. You want to do a paper on life, pro-life, abortion. Did the founders ever talk about that? Yes, they did. But you won't know how to find that. But we have now put it into its own self-contained system with virtual electric fence around it, so it cannot distort. It must remember all of it. The problem with AI, the reason why it hallucinates, is it can only remember so much. So it takes the beginning of a story, the end of the story, and it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it kind of happened this way. We have to have it memorize word for word. So now you'll be able to take any document, anything from the founders. You can translate it into any language. You can say, I need it to explain this to an 8-year-old. And it is absolutely accurate. In 2026, I'm going to be introducing something that we're working on that goes a step beyond that. And I want to show you just a quick clip of George AI.
May the grace of God be upon us all, now and forevermore.
They have no right to tax us like this. They're robbing our freedom.
Soldiers, listen to me now. The hard
conflict, the more glorious the triumph.
So which part of it do you want to hear about?
Next year, you are going to be able to have, beginning next year, you're going to be able to have a one-on-one conversation with the founders in your language, speaking the way you speak. I just this week asked him, how do we fix this? What principles have we lost, and where do we even start, George? The answer came from them, in their writings, in everything they studied, in everything that built this nation. I can't wait for you to see it and to learn from actual documented history. Now let me show you some of the things that I brought here. First, let me ask you a question. Is America a good place or a bad place? Wait a minute. Is it? Is it? Let me, just hear me out for a second. Pete Hegseth, by the way, Pete Hegseth got his start by working at the Blaze. It's crazy. Pete Hegseth just said recently that they are not going to retract any of the medals of honor for Wounded Knee. This is something I've been working on for years, trying to get those medals of honor to be returned, because I have some of the guns, I have the photos, I have the things that came from Wounded Knee. I have the writings of the people that were there. I know that those medals of honor were bribes to shut them up. It was a massacre, and we shut people up. And we did it by saying, this is an honorable battle. I can tell you stories of things that this country has done that will curl your hair. Things that we have done in the name of God, in the name of the American people, in the name of righteousness. We've done horrible things. Here's the answer to that question. Is America a good place or is America a bad place? The answer is yes. Yes. Yes, it is. It has bad things in it and good things in it. You have to decipher. And if you forget the bad things, I guarantee you, you will repeat them. So it's important that you know the bad things. I can sit down with any college professor and out-bad America to them. And I have all the evidence. I have the documents. I have the transcripts. I have the paperwork on what they did in medical experiments to black men. I have it. So please get off your cute little high horse telling me how bad America is, because I will put you to shame, Professor. But let me ask you this. Can you tell me the great things that this country did? Can you tell me the things that Americans did and this country did that changed the world forever? They can't. You must. You must know the bad and the good. It's the only way you're going to weather the storms of the future. You must be able to say, yes, we made mistakes, and I know those mistakes better than you do. So don't lecture me on those mistakes. Let's talk about balance. Winston Churchill is one of my favorite people in the world. Love Winston Churchill. I read every book I could find on Winston Churchill. Loved him. And then I thought, he spent some time in India. I wonder what the biographies say about him from the Indian perspective. Oh my gosh. The guy was a monster. He was a monster. He was like, wait, that's Winston Churchill? That's not Winston Churchill. How can Winston Churchill be doing that here and saying, yeah, just run out and kill him? And then be over here in Europe saying the exact opposite. What is happening? My whole world on Winston Churchill fell apart for a second. I'm like, what? Then I remembered, wait a minute. Glenn, look at yourself. Have you done horrible things in your life? Sure did. That's why I needed the atonement. Yep, I've done horrible things in my life. Does that make me a bad person? No. Am I a good person? Well, I try to be. I try to be. So are you a good person? I try to be. I can't say I'm either of those things because I'm both of those things. It's the trajectory that matters. Are you getting better or are you getting worse? Is the country getting better by what we believe, what we do? Is it healing more people, helping people up out of poverty? Is it enriching people? Is it, and I mean that in a spiritual and a mental way, is it enriching their lives? I believe what we fight for, yes. I believe what the left, not Democrats, the left fights for, quite honestly, at many times it's evil because they're telling people, you will never succeed. You're not good enough without me to guide you all the way. That's evil. We must always be on the other side, giving people the promise of hope of knowing who they are. So let's start with knowing who we are. This is garbage. This is the New York Times Magazine 1619 project. In this, it says that America really started with slavery in 1619. That's garbage, and I know what was on that boat in 1619 because I happen to have the manifest. So, Professor, let's talk about what was on that ship, shall we? Let's talk about when did slavery come to America? It was a white man, England, Jamestown. Nope. This is a document written in Spanish from Spain 100 years before, okaying slaves to come from Africa into what we now call the Carolinas. So wait, Pilgrims, Jamestown, what? We didn't bring the first slaves in? No, you know why? Everybody had slaves. Do you know that 20 to 40% of Native Americans owned slaves before we came? Why? Because it was in their culture, not all of them, but in many of the warring cultures, if they won, they could take you as a slave. Otherwise, they would kill you. They would boil you alive sometimes. They needed to teach their enemies a lesson. That's what they believed. The longest running peace treaty with the Indians was signed with the Pilgrims. You know who broke that peace treaty? The Native Americans, because the Pilgrims were teaching them how to live Christ-like. And too many of them were saying, we shouldn't have slaves, we shouldn't boil people, we should show compassion after war. And the chief knew, we're battling really bad guys, we've got to be scary. So he banned Christianity and broke the peace treaty. Now, not all Indians were like that, but this is the way of the world. Do you know that our Pilgrims, when they came, the miraculous ways they came over, and they made a compact. And one of the things in their compact was no man stealing. Man stealing, taking another man, putting him into chains, and having him a slave. No man stealing. It's one of their big laws. Did you know, have you ever heard, I'll tell you about Jamestown, it ended in cannibalism. It was horrible. I'll tell you all the bad things. So let me just spend a minute here on the Pilgrims on a story you've never heard. The Pilgrims felt so strongly about man stealing, one time a slave ship blew into their harbor. It was off course, it was a storm. You could smell a slave ship a mile away. They knew what was on it. And they knew that on their land, that was illegal. So they went to emancipate the slaves on that ship. They marched up the gangplank and they arrested the captain. You landed in the wrong space, Captain. They arrested the captain. They arrested the first mate. Then they passed a hat out and took donations from themselves. These were not wealthy people. These were people that were paying 50% of everything they made to the king. They passed a hat around amongst themselves so they could clean that ship, restock it, hire a new captain and first mate, and send it back to Africa to free the slaves and bring them home. Have you ever heard that story? Ask yourself this question: why not? Why not? Why do we all think that we're not a nation that was founded on God? Because you haven't been told the truth. This is a Bible from 1599, came over on the Mayflower. This is a Bible. It's called a Geneva Bible. Geneva Bible was the first one that had commentary on the side. The reason why our pilgrims came over, they were very religious. And they came over with this Bible, and the king hated this Bible because in the commentary on the side, when it said Pharaoh, king, tyrant, you cannot call the king a tyrant. Because of this, we could not print a Bible in America until we were our own country. 1619 to 1789, we could not print a Bible in America because of that. You don't call a king a tyrant. Let me show you. I have a Bible, and I was going to bring, and we left it. It's worn. It's been used. It's been poured over every page. This one is very old, and it's in perfect condition. It's the Bible of King Louis, who had his head chopped off. I don't think he ever touched this book. The gilding is still perfect on the edge. When you use what's in these scriptures, things change, and our pilgrims did. And that led us to the American Revolution. This is a 1825 engraving done by Thomas Jefferson's son. This is the first draft of the Declaration of Independence in Thomas Jefferson's own hand. And it's an amazing thing because when you look at it over here, I wish you could come up close and see it, but it says B. Franklin, J. Adams, and then it has a line, has stuff crossed out in it, and then the changes. So when they made changes, Ben would come in and he'd go like, I want to change that. Scratch it out, B. Franklin, and then he would put the changes in. So this is the first draft. Thomas Jefferson is set up in a hotel room all by himself. He's about 30 years old, redhead, fiery guy from Virginia, not even supposed to be there, but he starts to write this. Now, to write this was death. This was a death penalty. You were going to be hung. You were going to be killed. Your family might even be killed. That's why John Hancock said, wait a minute, before we say we're going to write a Declaration of Independence from the king, because this is a breakup letter from the king. This is like, you suck. We don't want anything to do with you. Okay? So it's a breakup letter. You don't send that to the king. And you certainly don't say the things that they said in this to the king. So John Hancock stands up and looks at all of them and says, guys, we're all dead the minute this is written. Are you sure you want to write it? And I need a unanimous vote. If one person disagrees, we don't write it. Vote. Who wants it? Every hand went up. Okay, I'm going to give this one more shot. This is a death sentence. The king has spies everywhere. He knows what we're doing. He knows where we live. He's in some of our houses with his spies and his army. May I suggest that we vote on every single line in this document? Because if we disagree, if one person disagrees, he'll find that one person and find that disagreement, and he'll work his way in, and he'll start to break us up, and then he'll kill us all. Do we all agree every line has to be voted on and unanimous? They all raise their hand. Okay, Thomas Jefferson was selected to write this. It's an amazing thing. It starts out, it's the only document, it's the only revolutionary document. Read BLM, read Antifa. Read anything they're trying to start revolution. They want to overthrow the government. It doesn't start like this one. This is the only document in human history, this is why it changed so much, it basically starts with an apology. We owe it to the rest of the world to tell you why we feel we need to break up with you. And it's not us, it's you, but we're going to say it's us. We're going to say it's us, and we're going to say it this way. We've been trying to tell you who we are. We think differently than you do. We don't believe the same things that you do. Our heritage comes from the Pilgrims that you chased out. We think differently here. Let me be specific. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And governments are instituted among men to protect those rights. What? The king doesn't believe any of that. You think you have rights. I'm the king. I have rights, and I'll tell you what rights you have. And governments are instituted by you clowns? I don't think so. I know what's better for you than you know. Any of this sound like today? Familiar? I'm the king. I know. I'll tell you what you need to do, how you need to live your life. So I'm going to give you the greatest gift anyone has ever given you, because I didn't get this gift until I was about 58 years old when I first read this document. I've struggled with my whole life how to answer, how could you possibly listen to Thomas Jefferson say all men are created equal when he had slaves? He didn't really believe that. I don't know how to answer that. But you will now, because of what's on page 3. Page 2, it begins with the usurpations. All the things that you would say to somebody you're breaking up with, you don't pick up your underpants, you smell in the morning, whatever it is. He writes all of these things down, and they're all 1 or 2 lines maximum, until he gets here. This is the last usurpation. His handwriting even changes when he writes this. He's passionate about this. Every usurpation up till here is 1 or 2 lines. This is over half a page. Let me just show you what it starts with. And he, the king, has waged a cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, taking their life and liberty and captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation. This piratical warfare, the opprobrium of infidel powers, underlined, is the warfare of the printed out, not in script, printed out, underline, and bold. This is the work of the warfare of the Christian king. He is now saying to the king, you can't do this and call yourself a Christian. You're not a Christian. This is piratical. Who were the pirates? The pirates of the time were the Muslim pirates that believed if they conquered you, they could take you as a slave if you were an infidel. This is piratical warfare. The powers of infidel powers. Yet the King of Great Britain is determined to keep an open market where capitalized, bold men are to be bought and sold. Then he goes in to how many times they had tried to stop this. It's the most incredible thing I've ever read. How come you don't know that? How come nobody has ever taught you what Thomas Jefferson wrote in the first draft of the Declaration of Independence, where he is making an impassioned plea to stop slavery? How come you don't know that? Why hasn't a teacher or a professor had the guts to show you the truth? And I guarantee, I want you to look this up. I want you to Google first draft of the Declaration of Independence. It's right there. It's easy to find. Why has it remained hidden from us? Why did I have to wait 50 years before I knew the truth of Thomas Jefferson? Why isn't it in the final draft? Well, because we're a country built on slavery. Because all our founders wanted was slavery. They just wanted to enshrine slavery so they can enrich themselves and hurt the black man. No, here's why. Because when the draft was read in front of the Continental Congress, remember, every line had to be voted on, and it had to be unanimous. When they got to this part, out of the 13 colonies, remember, all these colonies were all racist. All we want to do is entrap and enslave the black man or anybody who isn't white and just get rich. Out of the 13 colonies, how many voted against this paragraph? 2. That means 11 said stop slavery right now. 2. Georgia and South Carolina, where the Civil War started. Again, are we a perfect country? No, but that's not the point. Read our Constitution. In order to perfect or to create a more perfect nation. We're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. We're human beings. Just try to be better than you were yesterday. In your own life and as a nation, just try to be better than you were yesterday. And know that people have given their lives. This is a piece of Abraham Lincoln's coat. Bloodstained. I have the cuff from his collar, bloodstained. They treated him like he was a circus animal when he was dying. He was sick. But I really believe that he knew he would have to give up his life. He didn't want to, but I think he knew. That day, he and his wife spent the day talking about what are they going to do after the war. One of the last things he said to her was, "Honey, I have it. I think I know what I want to do. Let's go to the Holy Land. I want to walk in the footprints of my Savior." And John Wilkes Booth took this key, the key to box number 7 at Ford's Theater, opened the door, took a gun, and shot him. Shot him in the back of the head. Expecting what? What did he want? He wanted anger. He wanted vengeance. He needed people to hate each other. He was from the South. The South just surrendered. He needed the North to be so angry that they would go back into battle. And this time, maybe the South would be victorious. That's what that was all about. You want to know what Abraham Lincoln, Booth tried to kill him one other time at the second inaugural address. I have the only picture of Abraham Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth in the same picture. Lincoln is blurry because he's moving giving the second inaugural address. Booth is perfectly clear. He's up in the corner of the Capitol and he is just staring holes through Abraham Lincoln. Because in the end of his second inaugural address, what does he say? What does he say? Let us bind the wounds of this nation. Let's take care of the widow and the orphan. With charity toward all and malice toward none. When the South said, "We surrender," Grant wrote, "I have the surrender for Lee. What should I do with him?" The response was, "Take your foot off his neck and help him up." There's 4 copies. of the Gettysburg Address, made by Abraham Lincoln after they gave the Gettysburg Address, because he just wrote it on a piece of paper, and a reporter from New York happened to be there, and he said, "Mr. President, that was a great speech. Can I get a copy of it?" And he said, "Sure." Gave him a copy of it. Guy went back to New York, typed it up, put it in print, and threw the original away. Yeah. I was in the White House in the Lincoln bedroom with President Trump, and he said, "You want to see the Gettysburg Address?" I said, "I would." He said, "Come on with me." We went in, and he said, "This is the only copy." I said, "Actually, Mr. President, it's not." He made 4 copies to raise money to help widows and orphans. He sold them for charity. There's 2 of them that say "this nation under God," and 2 of them that just say "this nation." Why? I don't know, just to make it fun today, I guess. But what he said here was the same. We're here engaged in a great battle to decide whether or not a country that is based on these principles, that man can rule himself, that he doesn't need a dictator, an authoritarian, a king, but he can rule himself, if that country, based on those ideas, or any country that has these ideas, can it survive? That's what's being decided today. And it's being decided again right now. And you are the ones that are going to make the choice. He goes on to say, we can't really dedicate this land. We can't consecrate it. Because what they did here, what they died for, their blood is in the soil. They already did it. Now it is up to us, the living, to honor that. Though that went through my head for days after Charlie died. People talked about building a statue of Charlie where he was shot. I think that's only because they wanted to cover up the trapdoors where the Jewish snipers were shooting at him. God, I hate being a Christian sometimes. That's not what Charlie would have wanted. And we can't do anything to that ground. We can't. It's our job now to do exactly what you've already been doing. We honor Charlie. I have a new mantra lately. For Christ, for country. Gosh darn it, I only have 6 minutes left for questions. Oh well. If you want to take 6 minutes of questions, or however long they will allow, I'll take some questions, but I just want to leave you with this one thing. If you take anything from tonight, take this. I know who you are. You know the greatest generation of World War II, they call them the greatest generation. Do you know what the people said about the greatest generation as we were in the Great Depression? These people, you know, we had to have horses. They now use tractors to plow. We never had refrigeration. They just go to their refrigerator now to get milk. They're weak. The country is lost. They'll never be able to withstand any of the trials that are ahead. That's the greatest generation that saved the world from authoritarianism and Nazis. That was what their parents said about them. So don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to anybody that says you don't have it in you. You do have it in you. You were born at this time for a reason. You were in exactly the right place, with exactly the right baggage, with exactly the right skills. Hone them. Put on the full armor of God. Because we are in a spiritual battle, and I am proud to be on your side. Okay, let's take some questions. I got to tell you, I got some really cool things. I got a rat with a bomb in its butt. This is the prototype core for the nuclear bomb that we did. This is the Nazi let me measure your head thing. We'll do it some other time. My wife loves it. She's like, yeah, man, we got the Nazi measuring the head thing for some reason. Okay, yes.
Hey, Glenn, I'm a big fan. I've been watching you for a while. But I have some questions about religion for you.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier that you were a Mormon.
Yes.
And
no, I didn't. I left that out because I know how popular it is.
Well, anyways, I was going to ask you why you chose to be a member of that specific religion over another Christian denomination like Lutheranism or Catholicism.
I don't happen to believe in the... Oh, gosh. Why? Let me be a pariah. I don't happen to believe in the Nicene Creed. I don't believe in 3 in 1. I studied the way that was put together at the point of a spear. God does not work that way. Every single word was chosen to satisfy one other person. I read the Bible and I see the Holy Spirit, Jesus in the water, the voice of God. And to me, it doesn't matter if you don't believe it. That's fine. I think you're Christian. People don't think I'm Christian because I happen to believe different things, but I serve Christ as best I can. It's what I believe. It's what I believe. More importantly, in the end, I look for the fruits of the labor. Judge people by their fruits. I was with Billy Graham, and I won't tell you who was in the room when he asked me to share my testimony on Jesus Christ. And I shared it with him. But before I did, somebody else in the room said, Billy, remember, he's a Mormon. Billy knew. He gave him the look of death and said, I'm aware of that. Then he looked at me and he held my hands and he said, tell me your testimony of Jesus Christ. I did for about 15 minutes and we both were crying a lot. I cry a lot and he was old, so he probably... At the end, he held my face and then he looked to the other person in the room and said, he sure sounds Christian to me. Judge people by the fruits of their labor, especially now. I don't understand why we would bash each other's religion. I will stand with anyone who accepts Jesus as their Savior, who is trying to be a good person, who's trying to build the kingdom of God, who knows what time it is. Let God sort us out at the end. But right now, you are my friend. You will always be my friend. I will always love you as a brother. I think we just need more of that. That's what I found. Others don't. By the way, thank you for the respectful way of asking that question.
Right here.
Yes.
My name is Graham, and my question was on something you said earlier. And is how do you understand and learn from someone's opinion if it completely contradicts what God has said through his word?
Can you give me an example?
Like someone who is part of the LGBTQ community. How do you understand and learn from their opinion?
I think this is where empathy comes in. I think empathy is really underrated. I have gay employees that I have personally hired. I have many gay friends. I don't agree with the lifestyle. I know what I read in the Bible. I know what I read. But here's where the L and the G, I'm cool. The B, make a choice. We all have to narrow our dating pool down. You do too. I don't think you're born confused. I don't know. I kind of like this on Tuesday and this on Wednesday. I do happen to believe, because I know people who are gay who have been, they tear themselves apart. I mean, back in my day when I was growing up, you didn't want to be gay. You were a pariah. You had to live your whole life undercover. You could never be who you are out loud. Who would choose, I want to be a pariah? Oh God, that's what I did with my faith. I'm sorry, maybe that doesn't work. Nobody chooses to be a pariah. I believe that maybe they're born that way. I don't know. I believe, I'd never use this, and I'm not comparing, but in my life, I think my genetic code for depression and alcoholism, I mean, suicide after suicide, and I was there, and I know that's a chemical thing. I think that's genetically bred into me. Not to compare the two, but it's still my choice. It's still my choice. I have empathy. I'm not anybody's judge. God's going to be. And this is something, let me give you this. I just want you to think about this. All the people that we don't want to talk about, all the people that we think we hate, all the people that we're so mad at, if we truly are their brother and sister, when we die and we get up to Dad, I know exactly what I would say to my children. Wait. Tell me this again. You left your sister behind? Yeah, Dad, she was unreasonable. So you just gave up on her. You just stopped talking to her. You just made her a pariah. You said horrible things about her. You didn't love her. You didn't always show her compassion and love. I don't recognize you. That's what I would say as a dad, and I know he's more perfect than I am. Everyone is my brother and sister. I will not judge them. I will love them. I will show them compassion and empathy, because everyone deserves that. Thank you.
My name is Jeb Baugh. I'm
Yes.
an aviation student here at the University of North Dakota. And I really liked your point, question everything. And one question I have for you, Glenn, is a lot of young American and conservatives are starting to notice that Israel has an overwhelming lobby over the United States government, and we have unconditionally supported them. We have fought their wars in the Middle East. Bibi Netanyahu came to our Congress in the 90s, told us a list of countries that we need to take out. Some were Syria, Iraq, Iran, Libya, etc. Through those wars, we have lost trillions of dollars. We have lost American servicemen. And the worst part I think about it is the fact that millions of refugees are coming to the Western world through America and Europe, are degrading our cities, destroying our Western values. The U.S.
If you have more, let me just, because that's a long list and I have a very short attention span. So let me just answer some of those here, and then you can continue your encyclopedia of questions, and I appreciate it. Let's see. Israel has a lobby. Yes. And you know who has a bigger lobby all around the world? The United States of America. It is in each country's best interest to lobby. Don't blame Israel. Blame our own politicians if they act upon it outside of the United States' interest. Because I can tell you, we're lobbying everybody else. And they will...
No one's clapping. No one's clapping for your point. Charlie was starting to notice about the Israel lobby.
Could I answer my question? Could I answer the question, please? First of all, I'm an American first and always. But the reason we have refugees all around the world is not Israel. It is a global system of people trying to take down the West. They are trying to hold your peace for a minute. This is why I said, Charlie, I can't do this. What is happening is we have Islamists occupying our countries. The next war that you will face, you know what our first foreign war was? Against the Barbary pirates. They were the Islamic pirates, okay? Jefferson, when he ended that war, because nobody had the stomach for it, he said, I gotta warn you, everyone should read the Quran. He actually had I have a copy of it, printed Quran, printed for Americans to read. He didn't put out little teeny clips. He wanted every American to read the Quran. He said, because I'm telling you now, this is our first foreign war. But if we don't pay attention, I guarantee it will be our last foreign war. That is coming whether you like it or not. That is a plan well laid out. And yes, George Soros is a big part of it. I was the man who taught America about George Soros. One last thing. Here's my problem with this whole thing. Is it okay to set babies on fire? Is it okay to rape babies? Is it okay to kill people and have glee? Hear me out. Oh, dear God. Dear God Almighty. I will pray for you. Where was I? I don't have a problem with people saying, I have a problem with Israel. Because I'm not fighting Israel's wars. I don't want to fight Israel's war. I don't want to supply troops or arms. You can buy it. We'll sell it to you. But we're not going to fight your war. That's your war. But I believe Israel has a right to exist. I believe Jews have a right to live and not be hunted down. I know the history of the Middle East. They've been going through this forever. And even if we have a peace deal, I got news for you, gang. It's going to come undone at some point anyway. We're going to be facing the same thing over and over and over again because that's what it says in the Bible. It's going to happen. It's been going on for thousands of years. So I have no problem with you not liking what Israel is doing because I can understand it. I'm not asking for support on that. I am asking that you recognize that you are dealing with evil when you're talking about Hamas, not the Palestinian people, Hamas.
All right, so Israel has lobbies for all the countries around the world. They have lobbies for New Zealand, England, France. No Muslim has any lobbies. Another thing, you're talking about the stuff they don't teach in school. You're talking about one thing they don't teach in school. They don't teach about the USS Liberty, where Israel literally came, blew up an American ship because they want us to get in their war with Egypt. And they don't teach that in school. I mean, I'm just saying.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Guys, let me leave you on this because I'd like to turn this around so you believe me. It says, please wrap this up. I'll take one more question, but let me just say this. We must not divide. We must not divide ourselves. We cannot divide. I don't care if you like Israel. I really don't. Please recognize there is good and there is evil. I'm not saying the Jews are good or anything. You don't have to believe any of that. I do, but you don't have to. But recognize evil when you see evil. And what is happening with Islamists is evil. It is. Beyond that, let's just not divide ourselves. We need everyone on deck. Everyone. Last question.
Hey, sir, it's an honor. I have family that have been very long-time listeners of yours, and it's just crazy that you're here, you know. And I was going to come up here and ask you about Columbus Day and renaming it to Indigenous Peoples Day. But after that conversation, I just want to ask you, I completely agree with you that there's a ton of Islamist evil in the world, and they are a bigger enemy to the United States than Israel will ever will be. But I have a question. Why is there this societal taboo around criticisms of Israel?
You're standing here in a theater voicing this. Nobody's going to arrest you. Nobody's going to say anything. I'm going to answer you. We're having a great conversation. Where is the taboo?
The taboo is, for example, AIPAC doesn't have to register as a foreign lobby, but like the Australia lobby does. And it just
and that should be changed. That should be corrected. Look, I am not going to say Israel should have any special privileges. None. Everyone should play by the rules, exactly the same rules, period. If they're not, that should be corrected. But let's correct those things. Let's not talk about snipers behind Charlie. Agreed. Good, thank you. I want to leave you on a positive. I happen to have Superman's cape and his outfit, but it was on the mannequin and I didn't want to undress it. I feel weird. So I brought this. This is from Captain America, the first movie. I wanted to share this with you for one reason. Do you know why Superman was drawn in the first place? There's two kids. I think it was Cleveland, Ohio. Two kids that saw what was happening in the world and they were freaked out of their mind. How do we solve this? There's nothing big enough. Nobody can solve this. We need a Superman. So to calm the younger brother down, the older brother, and it's still on the wall. I helped save the house. It's still on the wall. You peel off the wallpaper. There was the original Superman drawn by an older brother for his younger brother to help him sleep at night. Don't worry, there's a man of steel out there. I have to tell you, there is no man of steel. We always get into these situations and we look for superheroes. There are no superheroes. There's you. There's me. You are the ones that will save the world. Now you can choose to do the next right thing to the best ability of your understanding. You do that and you will be Superman. Superman wasn't needed in the end, except for children. American soldiers went in and fought the war, fought it with honor and decency, and freed the world. Let's be those people again. Thank you.